And welcome back to our show. We're talking about Our Kids, Inc., which is a program to help children who have been sexually abused throughout Middle Tennessee. Sue Fort White is the executive director. As you know, before we left for break, Jill Howlett is a social worker for Our Kids, Inc. Before we left for commercial, we were talking about those numbers, the 800 children that you see and help on average each year. That breakdown, though, because we talked about 1 in 10 will experience some form of sexual abuse. We're talking about children, both boys and girls.
Right, that's right, April. So, and we're going to have to revise our website because we don't really endorse the 1 in 10. What we think is it's more like 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 6 boys will experience some form of child sexual abuse by age 18. We also know that child sexual abuse is the most underreported crime ever, you know, of anything. And I think
is it because it's usually committed by someone that child knows, a relative, and so people are afraid to prosecute and report?
So I think that it's a kaleidoscopic sort of view of the guilt and shame that the child feels, the relationship that they have with the perpetrator. I think that because of the grooming and the manipulation that perpetrators do, you know, the child does feel that shame and guilt. It's paralyzing, and also sometimes there are threats. You know, no one will believe you. Yeah. You know, so or you wanted this. You know,
making them feel like it's their fault.
Yes.
So then what should parents or educators or members at church look out for? Signs that they may be able to determine, changes in behavior, changes in physical appearance, something that people can start at least asking that child a question, what's going on?
Sure, I think one thing to just make sure that you have is an open mind if a child does come and tell you something. I think that's the most important thing, is to believe that child when they tell you something. You can also look for information that children shouldn't know, just advanced sexual knowledge that children shouldn't, a 4-year-old shouldn't know about. And I think that doesn't necessarily mean something's happening, but it means it's worth looking into. That's
even tough, though, in this day and time, because our kids, unfortunately, are exposed to so much stuff, whether it's on TV, whether it's on computers, social media, whatever the case may be. And so, while once upon a time I wouldn't expect a 4-year-old to say certain things, today sometimes they're saying things that are shockers.
That's right, shockers.
Exactly.
So true.
And I think that is that's the society today. We're a digital society. And I think that you have to be aware of what your children are doing and seeing and learning and exposed to when they're online or when they're in the room with someone who is online.
That's another big area, I know, and a scary area for parents when you're talking about giving that access, because you can't even do assignments in this day and time without having that connectivity. In school, you know, you turn, my kids turn their assignments in online. So they're online all the time. But how can you sort of manage that appropriately based on age and what's happening out there?
It's the digital age, and you can't completely shut your children down from that, or they won't be able to function. In school even. I think you just have to be hypervigilant. There are all kinds of networking safeguards out there, that like Net Nanny and things like that. Covenant Eyes, I think, is another one that really watches what children or what anyone views on your computers. But I also think you just have to know how technology works, and don't give your child a tablet that you don't know how it works, and don't let your child play a game that you don't know how it works, because you're going to know how perpetrators can get in if you know how it works. If you don't, then you're exposing your children to a world of people that can access them without any safeguards.
So 2 years ago, a little over 2 years ago, clinical team members were noticing a really jarring trend in our medical practice, which was that our patients were being lured into really horrible and scary situations and then being assaulted. And so Jill and others reached out to Rob Kerrigan, our dear friend with cyber crimes against children, a special unit of Metro Police. He came and trained us. Then he trained our board of directors, and then Jill and some other people on staff, with the help of Parthenon Publishing, came up with this brochure about keeping kids safe online. And it's on our website. People can go to www.ourkidscenter.com and request copies or review the documents. But it's really, really important information. And people who pretend to be a 13-year-old and can figure out how to have just enough information to keep asking questions and keep gaining trust, then they say, well, let's hook up over here, and then they end up being a 33-year-old man. And the girl is like a deer in the headlights. When all she wanted was just maybe some attention from a boy, make a new friend or whatever, and it's devastating. So I think that it's been a real eye-opener for us.
Any other thing that parents should be on the lookout for in this day and time, that they should be aware of in this day and time when it comes to their kids? And I guess, it's simple to say just have those right conversations and keep it coming. The older kids get, the more that they keep it in, right? But you got to keep kind of hounding them, don't you?
Sure you do. And I think over the centuries of time, teenagers are teenagers. And they're always going to keep things quiet. But I think you just have to look for those interesting changes in behavior. And are they being especially secretive when they're on their phone? Are they being especially secretive when they're, doing other things? I just think you have to, let your parent intuition kick in and say, is this normal behavior or is this abnormal behavior? And do I feel like I'm being told the truth? Am I not being told the truth? And you can set restrictions. 13-year-olds don't own their phones. Most of the time, it's not their child's phone.
I'm the mean mommy because I set all sorts of restrictions and cut off at this time.
But I think you have to, because your children are exposed in a different way to their friends, to other, to really the world. And I think that is just we have to learn a different way of parenting. And I think that's hard for parents as well, because our parents didn't have to do that. And so I just think you have to be on top of what your children are doing and have an open, if you can at all, have an open dialogue with kids about what new app, can you show me how to do this app? And let the kids be the teachers, because then they're thinking, oh, that's kind of cool, I get to show mom how to do Snapchat. And before, in 2 years, Snapchat will probably be old news. So I think just keeping on top of what apps your kids are downloading. You hold all the passwords. Your kids don't get to download something without permission.
That's right. And I think it's really important to remember that at the end of the day, we want to create a climate in our families where, we are saying, I'm available to you, I love you, I am here for you. If anything scares you or confuses you, I'm here for you. Because, the other thing is, sometimes it just takes one person to believe, one person to believe a child and then to protect them. And that can be the gateway to incredible healing. And we see it at our kids every day, where families come and they are terrified. They don't know what the visit's going to be like. They don't know what's going on. They are so distressed they can hardly cope at all. And by the time they leave, because we create a space and a time and a place, and what Jill does and her colleagues, her social work colleagues, they say, we care about how you feel and what else is going on in your family. Tell us your story. We have all the time in the world for you. And the other people involved in the investigation, that's not really their job, and sometimes they don't have time to do that. But the social workers at our kids will listen deeply. That's where healing begins. We believe in the resiliency of the child. the resiliency of the caregiver. And one of the reasons why we know that child sexual abuse is the most underreported crime is because every week a caregiver feels safe enough for the first time in their lives where they will say, I've never told anybody this. My uncle did this to me when I was 6. You know, my grandfather did this to me when I was 8.
Yep.
And I've never told anybody, and I can't carry this burden anymore.
And that's the help that you all are giving.
Yes.
We've got just a few seconds. I want to make sure that we let people know that it's ourkidsclub.com.
Our Kids Center.
Our Kids Center, ourkidscenter.com
Yes.
for more help, for more information,
Yes.
and also to look on there because you all have been doing some great work. So there's ways people can help our kids as well.
Yes.
Thank you so much for
Thank
being
you,
here.
April.
We will see you again next time. Thank you for being here.
Are you